Hey there, welcome to this video, and in this particular video we are going to explore how you can make use of AI to work with audio files. So we are going to make use of OpenAI's audio model. Alright, now there will be scenarios wherein if you are working on your production grade project in your office or at your work, and there will be use cases wherein you might want or you might have audio files that you are dealing with, right? Now, how do you make use of audio files with AI, right? And there could be n number of use cases that you could be implementing with that. We are going to take a look at a very simple use case, which is audio to text transcriber. Yes. So this application, we are going to make this entire application with the help of Spring AI, and we're going to do it hands-on. We are going to cover both backend as well as the front end. Okay, so I'm going to show you each and everything as to how things work in backend. We'll test the APIs, and then we'll come over to the front end to build it in React, and we'll connect the same to the backend. All right. So basically how it will work is here I have this React application. You can see it is asking me to upload a file over here. So I need to choose a audio file which has someone talking in it. All right. And I can then upload and transcribe. So let me click over here on choose file and let me show you how this works. So I've now chosen the file. If you hover on this, okay, you will see test.mp3 coming in as the tooltip, which means that the file is like added over here. I can say upload and transcribe. So I can say upload and transcribe, and you'll see, hello, how are you finding Spring AI? Now this text is what I'm speaking in this particular audio file that I just uploaded, and I'm doing a transcription over here with the help of AI. So what is happening is from this React application, I'm taking this file, I'm sending it to the Spring Boot backend. Spring Boot backend is receiving this file and sending it to OpenAI's audio model, right? And OpenAI is like performing some sort of operations in the backend, and it is returning us the transcribed version, which backend is sending to frontend, and then frontend is displaying here this way. Okay. So like I said, you could be dealing with audio files at your work, right? In your project, and AI is everywhere, right? So why not you get AI to work with the audio files, right? So that is what this tutorial is going to teach you about. If you're not dealing with audio files right now at work, you can create portfolio projects and you can host it somewhere. And like AI is hot these days. So you can have a project using audio model, okay, audio model of OpenAI, and you can leverage that to create a use case and implement that with the help of Spring Boot and React, right? And it could be as simple as audio to text transcriber. Then this could be your portfolio project, which you can pitch to your interviewer or to the person who is interviewing you. And this way you can crack decent, good jobs, right? So this could also help you in job hunting is what I mean to say over here, right? Because knowing how you can work with OpenAI models, okay, is really important, because I said AI is everywhere, and you know that, right? Every other thing that you're using today has AI integrated in some form, and companies who have not moved to AI yet are willing to move. So yes, companies want to hire more and more developers that know how to work with AI and understand the importance of AI. So this could be a great edge for you if you are actively interviewing. So be sure to follow this till the very end and follow each and every step and understand what is happening, where it's happening. And then you can take the knowledge you have gained to implement over to your own projects as well. All right. So that's about the project overview. And yes, goes without saying, if you have not liked, subscribed, be sure to do so, because that helps me with the algorithm. And if you're following this course and if you're enjoying this course, be sure to comment below and let me know who you are, where you're joining in from, and what sort of videos you wish to see on the channel. All right. I would be willing to see your replies. And yes, comments also help me with the algorithm and help me reach more viewers. So be sure to show support in that way, because this tutorial is anyways free. So that's the only fee that I ask you for, right? So without further ado, let's jump right in. So now it's time that we get started with our Spring Boot project. So here I'm on our favorite website, start.spring.io. and I'll choose the right settings over here. So I want to make use of Maven. I will select this version of Spring Boot. Okay, you can select any other version. That's completely fine, and it's likely that you'll see a new version when you're watching this. Okay, but don't worry, things won't change over here. And I'll add the group as com dot, I'll say audio, and here I'll have the artifact as audio transcribe, something like this. And over here I'll have a custom name to my package. I'll have com.audio.transcribe. Okay, I'll make sure that I have selected jar over here. Okay, and it's time for dependencies, so I'll say web, the first dependency, because it's a web-based project that we are creating. And then I'll say AI over here. Okay, so here you can see there are like tons of options over here. Okay, when you put in AI, but we'll be making use of OpenAI. Okay, so you can also search for OpenAI over here. Okay, you can see. So I'll just select OpenAI, and then what we need to do is you can explore the project, the dependencies as to what all is added over here. So this is a dependency which is for OpenAI. All right, and what we will do is we'll generate the project over here. Now click on generate and save it to your desired folder location on your machine, wherever you want to have or work on this project. All right, so just do that. So I do have the zip file downloaded and added to my working directory. I'll just unzip it over here. Okay, just extract everything over here and you'll see the folder over here. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to head over to IntelliJ. Okay, and we need to open this as a project. Now I'm here in IntelliJ. All right, I'll just click open. Now when you click open, you will be presented with this kind of a UI where you need to navigate to the zip file that you have extracted. Okay, so the folder location is over here, and I'll just select this pom.xml. So it's audio transcribe, you can see over here, and I've selected pom.xml, and then I'll say okay. All right, because we want to open this as a project. So you will see over here, pom.xml is a project file. Would you like to open the project? So yes, I wish to open the project, and I would want IntelliJ to trust all the projects within this folder. All right, because these are all the projects that I'm creating and downloading. So yeah, we have this open now in IntelliJ, and you'll see it's resolving the dependencies for you from Maven. All right, and you'll see all the dependencies being added over here in the external libraries on the left hand side after the processing is done. All right, so you'll see like a bunch of libraries being added here. Now if I expand this a bit, all right, you'll see this library over here, or the dependency that is under like external libraries over here. You'll see these are the AI related dependencies that have been added. You can see. All right, so yeah, we'll be working with these. Okay, we don't need to have the expanded version of external libraries. This is just for reference. But yeah, we are ready with the project and we are ready to head over to the next step. Now as a next step, what I would simply do is I would head over to my main application file and I'll try running the application over here. Let us see what happens if you try to just run the application by adding the AI related dependencies. All right, so I expected this, it will crash. All right, and now let us diagnose the error message. Okay, so if you come over here, you'll see like exception occurred during the context initialization. Okay, so it tried to initialize the context and it tried to create a bean over here called OpenAI chat model. All right, now what happens is it needs to create this bean on the application startup. Why is it creating the bean? Because you have added this dependency. Okay, so if you scroll down over here, you've added this dependency called OpenAI. Okay, for Spring AI OpenAI. Okay, and as a part of the auto configuration process, it will create this bean. Okay, and to create this bean, it needs, you can see over here, it needs the OpenAI key. Okay, because it is not able to establish or get the key over here. Okay, and that is why it is not able to create the bean. All right, so we need to add a key over here, and that is something that we will learn about. So you can see over here it clearly says that OpenAI key must be set. Now you can make use of connection property, and this is the property that you need to add into your application properties. All right. So what we need to do is here will come, okay, and in the application properties over here, you need to set this property over here. Okay. We don't have the key, so first we'll create the key. All right. So now it's time that we get the key for our project. So for that, I'm on openai.com over here, you can see, and this is the home page. This might change depending on when you're watching this video because they just keep updating the home page, but that's absolutely fine. What I would do is I would hover on this products, okay, and you can go to platform overview. All right. So here the platform is open over here. Okay. So I'll just go to, okay. So yeah, it's the same link over here that was open. So you can head over to this link over here and you'll see this homepage. Okay. So here you can see two buttons. One is start building and the other one is view API pricing. Now you can open API pricing. Okay. So I'll just open this in a new tab. Okay. And this API or the models that you're using for OpenAI, okay, they are priced depending on your usage. All right. So what happens is whenever you're making use of AI models or any sort of artificial intelligence, there are models in the hindsight that you're making use of, right? Now, over here, they have some explanation on how the pricing works for OpenAI. All right. So if you scroll down, you'll see like there are different models. Like this is the latest model as I'm recording this video. There will be latest models again and again, all right, or depending on when you're watching this, all right. So it's possible that you might see GPT-5 or any sort of latest model over here, okay. But you can see the current pricing over here, okay. So the pricing will be similar. They might change the rates, but it will be similar. So I have over here in front of me GPT-4o, and you can see the cost is $5 for 1 million input tokens, okay. So yeah, this is the pricing you can go for. So here you have different models over here with different pricing. You can even check from the drop down, okay, what is the pricing for any other model over here, okay. So yeah, this is about pricing. Remember over here, you can also check over here, show pricing per 1K token, okay. You can see it's now updated to 1K input tokens, all right, rather than a million it was early on, right? So this is about pricing. Now what you can do is you can click on start building. The moment you click on start building, you will be taken to a page where you will be asked for sign in or sign up. Now I already have an account. So if I click on start building, I'll head over to this particular dashboard over here. Okay. So this is the home page once you log into your project over here. Sorry, not the project, but the dashboard or the account. All right. So you can see this is the dashboard. And at the top here, you'll see like default project. So you can create a new project. So if you're working professionally and you have multiple AI related projects, so what you can do is you can create multiple projects and have things under that project related to that. Okay. So it's just a way of organizing things over here. All right. But I'll just stick to default projects, which exist for me. All right. This is a documentation on the left hand side. You can go through if you wish to. Here at the top, you will have something called as playground. Okay. So here you can play around with the models over here. Okay. You have different models you can see over here. But where we need to go is we need to head over to the dashboard. Okay. Now over here in the dashboard, you should come over to API keys. You will see API key option over here. So here there are multiple options like usage, API keys and all. So we'll come over to API keys. Okay. And one more thing I want to highlight, like if you want to add credits to your OpenAI account, like I mentioned, okay, the APIs are priced. And if you want to add some credits, you can come over here, you can go to settings. Now under settings, you will have a tab called billing and credits. So you can add these things over there, like these details. All right. Now under API keys, you will be able to create API keys from here. Now, one thing I would want to mention is you can create multiple API keys. And these API keys are secret to you. Like you're not supposed to share it with someone else. Okay. Because if you share it with someone else and if someone else gains access to it, then he will be able to do API calls to your API account or to OpenAI via your API key, and you will be billed for that in your account. All right. So your credit card will be charged, or your debit card, whatever you are using, that will be charged, right? So what you need to do is you need to come over here on the top right. Okay. You need to say create a new secret key. You can give this a name over here. So you can call it audio transcribe, for example, depending on your preference. You can select the project, like you want this to be under which project, and then you can say create secret key. Now, the moment you create secret key, a secret key will be displayed to you. I would recommend that you copy that and store it somewhere at the safe place that is only accessible to you. All right, because once the API key is created, you won't be able to access it again. Okay, so it's only displayed once. So I would encourage you to, once you create, you copy it and save it at a save it at a safe place. That is what I mean. All right. So save it at a safe place, and then you can make use of it whenever you need. All right. And if by chance you happen to lose your API key, or if you're not sure if it got leaked or something, you can even delete it. Okay. So you can delete it from this delete button over here. Okay. So yeah, here you also have an option for permissions. So I'll just say all over here. Okay. And I'll get my secret key created over here. So just get your secret key, and that will give you the ability to make use of OpenAI models in your projects. So now it's time that we configure the API key into our Spring Boot project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the application.properties, and over here we are going to add the property which will let Spring Boot or a Spring AI framework know that this is the API key that we want to work with. Okay, so I'll say Spring AI OpenAI API -key over here. This is the property name. I'll say $, and I'll mention API key over here. Okay, so this is the API key that we will be mentioning. Okay, so over here you can straight away replace the key that you got from the OpenAI dashboard over here. Okay, just paste it over here. Okay, so I'll be pasting mine over here. Now, once the key is added, press the run button. So let us run the app project over here, and let us see whether we are able to run it successfully. So you should see like the application is running properly, which means the API key is being configured and picked up by Spring Boot in a proper way. All right. So yeah, I hope you have been able to follow along so far. So now it's time that we begin working on the API. All right. So what I would do is I would come over here. I would create a new controller over here. Okay. And I can call this controller as transcription controller, something like this. Okay. You can call whatever you wish to. Okay. Depending on your name choice. All right. But first thing first, I'm going to mark this as a REST controller. Okay. And I can even have a request mapping annotation over here, and all the endpoints would be API/transcribe, something like this. Okay, so yeah, this is done. Now what I'm going to do is we need to start building the functionality, right? So we need to make use of the OpenAI audio transcription model. So what I would encourage you all to do is come over to spring.io. Okay. Head over to the list of all the projects. Okay, find out Spring AI over here. Okay, and go to learn and click on the reference document over here. Okay, so this is a reference document for Spring AI, and go to Spring AI API over here on the left hand side. Then you will find the option to audio model API. Now under that you will have transcription API. Okay, so click on that, and you have two options over here: Azure OpenAI or just OpenAI. So I'll choose OpenAI over here because that is what I'm using. I'll zoom in a bit so that it's much more visible to you all. All right. Now over here, you will have some clarity as to how you can make use of OpenAI transcriptions to do transcriptions in your application. Okay. So you can see over here, the prerequisite is you will need to create an OpenAI key with OpenAI to access ChatGPT models. Of course, this is something that we have done. Okay. So this is done. We need to add this dependency, right, for auto configuration purpose. This is done. Now, if you come over here, there are some properties that they are talking about. These are the connection properties over here. Okay. So base URL. So this is something that we'll have to configure. API key, we have already configured the API key, right? You can specify the organization ID, project ID, and so on. All right. If you scroll down over here, okay, you will see the base URL, transcription API key. These are all the parameters in case if you wish to customize anything for you. Okay. So here you can see this thing. Spring AI, OpenAI, audio transcription options.model. Okay. So this will help you customize the model that you wish to use. So right now, you can see only Whisper 1, which is powered by OP Whisper 1 over here. So I think it's saying that we'll make use of Whisper 1 only for now. Okay. So yeah, this is how you can customize the models just in case in future if you have more models. And here you have two ways of configuring the model over here. This is runtime and this is the manual configuration. So for runtime, this is the code over here. Okay. And then over here for manual, this is the code over here. So we'll go ahead with the manual approach. Okay. You have runtime configuration also over here. Okay. But for manual, you'll need to add the dependency and you need to create a OpenAI transcription model. For that, you'll need to get the API key, okay, and then create this object, and then basically do these steps. Okay, so we'll do this over here. All right. So I'll switch over to my ID over here. All right, and what we would do is I would create an object over here. So here it's making use of var. I won't make use of var. So we are creating object of OpenAI audio API, right? So I'll come over here. I'll say OpenAI audio API. I'll press Control space and you'll see this auto suggest. Okay. So I'll select this. All right. And I'll say OpenAI audio API is equal to, okay. So we need to initialize this with the OpenAI API key. All right. So that is something we need to do. All right. So we'll move this to a constructor. Okay. We won't have it this way. We'll move it to a constructor. Okay. But what we need is one thing we need to declare as a class variable or a class member. It will be OpenAI audio transcription model. So we'll declare an object of this over here. Okay. So I'll say private final OpenAI audio transcription model. Just get it imported and OpenAI audio transcription model. Okay. And I'll just shorten its name over here just for readability purpose. Okay. I'll just make it transcription model, something like this. Okay. Well, this is what we are using. All right. Okay. So I'm getting an error because it's not initialized, which is absolutely okay. All right. Now what I'll do is I will generate a constructor over here. Okay. Constructor, and I'll say okay. All right. So here I got a constructor with this parameter. I'll get rid of this parameter and I'll add my own parameter. So we need API key over here. Okay. So I'm accepting API key. Now I'll say this dot transcription model is equal to, okay. So you have the code over here. Transcription model is equal to new OpenAI audio API. Okay, so I'll copy this over here. Okay, and over here I'll paste this. Okay, OpenAI audio API. All right. Now OpenAI audio API needs to be created over here. So we need to create this, right? So actually I have an object of this over here, which I created outside. So I'll move this inside over here. Okay, something like this. But we need to initialize this. Now, how is this initialized over here? It is actually accepting the OpenAI key over here. Okay, so I'll copy that code. I'll come over here. I'll add it something like this. Okay, so OpenAI key. Now, what is your key name over here? Okay, so my key name is, spring.ai.openai.api key. Okay, this is my key name. This is a value actually. So I'll add it over here, something like this. Okay, and I'll add a semicolon. Okay, I'll move this to next line so that it's clear for you all to see as to what is happening. All right, now I have this parameter. You can get rid of this parameter and use it this way. Okay, this is one approach. Or you can have a value annotation. Okay, so you can make use of @value over here, and you can say dollar over here, and you can add this over here. This is also doable. This is also correct. Okay, so what will happen is this value annotation will fetch the value of this key from the application.properties, and it will inject it over here, and then you can straight away make use of API key over here. Okay, so you can say API key over here. That is also doable. Okay, so there are two approaches of doing this. Okay, I showed you the both approaches. You can select one. Right now we have OpenAI audio API initialized. Okay, and then we have transcription model also initialized. Right, you can see this. Okay, so this is done. Now initialization part is done. We have the model in place. Okay, so you need model in place. This is a model. Okay, this is done. Now we need to actually do this part. Okay, so what we need to do is here what's happening is it is getting the file that you need to transcribe. It is constructing the transcription options. Okay, first it's constructing the transcription options, and then it's getting the file, and then it is like creating the audio transcription prompt. Okay, and then it is generating the response. These are the steps. Okay, so we'll be doing these steps over here, but what here the example is shown as if this is getting the file from local machine. We won't be doing that. You can of course do that if you wish to, but I would be actually sending the file, and I'll be actually uploading the file right onto the API. So I'm going to say public response entity over here. Okay, and this is going to be string like so. Okay, I'll say transcribe audio, something like this. Okay, and I'll add request parameter over here. I'll say file. Okay, and this type is multi-part file over here. Okay, multi-part file, something like this. Okay, this is done. All right, and now I will have a opening curly brace. Okay, and this is actually a post mapping. Okay, so we need to mark this as mapping as well. All right, now this is done. What we need to do is once we have the file over here, once the user uploads the file from the Postman or client, wherever, or from React, what we need to do is we need to get the file object, right? So I'll say temp file over here. This is my file object. I'll import this class java.io. Okay, and I'll say file.create temp file over here. Okay, and I'll have a prefix of audio over here. So prefix is audio. Okay, and suffix is .wav. Okay, sorry, something like this. Okay, so this will be done. Now I'm getting an error over here, so I'll add exception to method signature. All right, this is done, and so after this we need to transfer the content of the file that is uploaded by user to this temporary file that we have created. Okay, so this is a temporary file like the name says. Okay, so what I will do is I would say file over here. Okay, and I'll say transfer to, and I'll say temp file over here. Okay, something like this. I'll add a space over here, something like this. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so this will transfer the content of the uploaded file to a newly created temporary file, and this effectively saves the uploaded audio to the local file system for us to then later on work on. All right, now what we can do over here is I can copy this over here. Okay, we need to set the transcription options. Okay, so I'll paste it over here. Okay, and we need to import all of this. Okay, so I'll just import this. Okay, let us see what all options we are setting over here. Okay, so this is var. I'll change this to OpenAI audio transcription options over here. Okay, and you can see like it's saying it's making use of builder over here. Okay, and it's saying it's setting the response format. So the response format is text. What is the language? Okay, there's no language set, but there's an option to set a language over here. Okay, with language over here. Okay, you can say EN over here. Now, if you're curious as to how I got to know the with language option, answer is here under runtime option. You'll see one more version of audio transcription option over here. Okay, and it has with language over here. Okay, and if you search for with language over here, okay, you'll find this option over here. Okay, or just search for language and you'll see. So you can also specify this in the application properties. Okay, so it says the language of it is used to specify the language of the input audio. Okay, we are specifying English. Now, if you don't want to specify this or you want to make use of any other language, you can definitely do that. Temperature 0F. Okay, and I'm saying .build over here. Okay, so this is going to set the audio transcription options for the transcription that we want to perform. Now, as a next step, what we need to do is we will copy these 3 lines. Okay, because this is what we want to do. All right. So over here, okay, so you'll see the first line that we copied. It is creating an object of file system resource, audio file. Okay, object name is called audio file. Then this audio file is given as an input to audio transcription prompt, and then this prompt is used further. So what this means is this is making use of file system resource object. So we are not getting the file this way, right? We are accepting it through an API, and we have a file object over here, right, called temp file. So what we need to do is instead of this path, I'll say temp file over here. Okay, I'll get this imported as well. Okay, this class, I'm getting a red mark. I'll copy this and I'll add it over here. Okay, so this is done. All right, and then I'll create a audio transcription prompt over here. Okay, and this will create this object of audio transcription prompt, which combines the audio resource over here, which is the audio file, and the transcription option. So it's combining both of them together into a single request object to be sent to the AI model, right? Because the object of this, okay, the options and the file, this is what is sent to the AI model over here. If you see on the next line, okay, so here what is happening is we are creating a response object. We are collecting the response after the call is being done to the AI model, right? So AI model will then unbundle this object. It will see the options and it will see what all transcriptions we wish to do and the file as well on the model's end. This is what will happen. Okay. Now OpenAI transcription model. So our OpenAI transcription model object is called transcription model over here. So I'll copy this. You come over here and you say transcription model, right? So this is done. All right. Response. We have the response also. Okay. And then what we can do is, right, we have created this file, right? It's a temporary file. So you can delete this file, okay, because our job is done, right? So what I would do is I would come over here. I would say temp file dot delete, okay. And then I'll create a return over here. Okay, I'll say new response entity because we need to send the response. So I'll say response dot get result. And I'll say dot get output over here. Okay, and I'll have HTTP status okay over here, something like this. All right, this is done. Okay, and yeah, I'm getting result of file delete is delete file is ignored. Yeah, that's absolutely okay. We don't want the response of that. All right, so this is done. I believe there should not be any sort of issues. Okay, we have followed things step by step over here. All right, now I'll just take you through what we are doing is we are actually creating an object of audio OpenAI audio transcription model. Okay, and we are initializing it over here in the constructor. Okay, you can see how we are initializing it. So we are getting the OpenAI key. OpenAI key we are getting because we need to create an object of OpenAI audio API as per the documentation. Okay, so we need a key for that, and then we are making use of OpenAI audio API to initialize the OpenAI audio transcription model, right? And then I'm creating the endpoint where I'm allowing user to upload a file over here and send it to me. Then I'm getting that file. I'm creating a temporary file object with the prefix of audio.wav. This is the extension. And I'm transferring the contents of the file that is being sent or uploaded by the user to this temporary file that I created over here, right? And then we need to prepare for the transcription part. So I'm creating an object of OpenAI audio transcription options because this is what OpenAI understands, and this is this class object it is using to get the options, right? So I'm specifying like the response format, the language, the temperature, and the build. Okay, this is done. Then I'm creating an object of file system resource and wrapping the temp file that I've created into it. And then I'm creating a transcription request over here, audio transcription prompt, which is combining the audio file and the options that I wish to pursue. And then I'm getting the response by doing a call to the model with the audio transcription prompt. And then I'm deleting the file and getting the response and displaying it to the user. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and I hope you have been able to follow along as to what is happening. All right, we would be doing a couple of configuration over here in the application.properties. All right, so what I would do is I would say spring.ai.audio.transcription.options, or I'll say base URL. Okay, so one second, let me check this property that I typed in is correct or not. Okay, so I'll come over here and I'll search for base URL over here. Okay, so Spring AI. So this is the, okay, so this is the base URL. I'll get this. Okay, and I'll paste it over here. Okay, and the value for this is, I'll copy this. Okay, this is the default value. Okay, so okay, and I'll also specify the model over here. Okay, and which is our model. So this is the model. Okay, options.model. So I'll specify that thing over here as well. Okay, it's whisper-1 over here, and then response format. So what is the response format? Okay, so I need response in JSON, right? So I'll say JSON over here. Okay, so these are some settings that you can do here in the application properties. There are more settings, language as well, including language, temperature, a lot of settings you can do. Okay, these settings you can even manage from transcription options object. Okay, but once you're done, you should be good to go. All right, so I hope you have been able to follow along and understood what we are doing and why we are doing. So now it's time that we need to test our API. So what I would do is I would restart the project, all right, and we'll check for any errors if we get any. All right, so the application startup is successful. So there are no errors, at least on the startup. All right, what we need to do is we need to get a API client like Postman, because we need to now test the API, right? So here in Postman, I'm already into a workspace. Okay, I'll create a new collection over here by clicking on this plus button, and I'll name my collection as audio transcriber, and I'll call this Spring AI because this is Spring AI project. Okay, I'll add a request to get going. All right, and I'll call this as transcribe API. I'll copy the endpoint over here. Okay, and I'll say over here. Okay, so I'll add this. Okay, so this is added, and I'll change this to post. Don't forget to change this to post. Now we need to pass in the parameter. So if you see our API, okay, if you scroll down, you need to pass in a parameter which is of type file. So in order to do that, I'll head over to headers, not headers, body in fact, and I'll say form data. Over here, I'll say file, because the name over here of the parameter is file. Okay, so I'll add file over here and I'll change this to file, and I'll get an option to select a new file. Okay, now over here we need to upload the audio file that you want to transcribe with OpenAI. All right, so to get the audio file, what you can do is you can actually get a audio file or an MP3 file which has a little bit of audio. Okay, don't get the audio file very long, okay, because you will be charged those many tokens on the OpenAI account. So you can get a short audio file with just 1 or 2 sentences. So I'll show you how you can get an MP3, all right, for demo purposes. So I'll search for text to speech over here and I'll say audio MP3. Okay, the moment I search, I'll see a lot of options, and you have this TTS MP3. Okay, there are a lot of options. You have free TTS also. Okay, so I'll just select the first one. You can choose any one and you can add a text over here. Hello, how are you finding Spring AI? Okay, something like this, and you can say download as MP3. Now the moment you say download as MP3, it will save this as a file onto your system. So be sure to save it at your desired location of your choice. Okay, so I'll just click download as MP3 and I'll get this file to save onto my system. All right, so I've saved the file onto my system. Now I'll come back to Postman, and now you need to go over here and you need to select this option and you need to navigate to wherever you have saved that particular file and select the file. So I've selected the file. You can see test.mp3. This was my file name with which I had saved the mp3 file from that website. All right. Now what I would do is I would say send over here. Okay. The moment you say send, okay, I get an error, 500 internal server error. So we'll now check what this error is onto our server logs. Okay. I'll scroll up. Okay. The moment you scroll up, okay, you see some message over here. Okay. So what is the message? It says non-transient AI exception 429. All right. And it is saying you have exceeded your current quota. Please check your plan and billing details. All right. So it's likely that I don't have any sort of credits in my account. All right. And it is also giving me this link wherein I can check all the API related errors. So I'll simply copy this over here. Okay. And you can see the entire message is being sent this way. All right, you can see. Okay, insufficient quota. All right, so what I would do is I would come over here. Okay, I'll just close this and I'll open this link basically. Okay, so you can see this is the API error code, and the error code we got is 429. This is the error code. Okay, and you can see the cause of this error code. You have run out of credits or hit your maximum monthly spend. So you need to buy more credits or increase your limits. Okay. So now how would you do this? So in order to do this, what you need to do is I need to go to OpenAI. Okay. So I'm on openai.com/API. You need to go to like start building. I'll go to start building. You'll be taken to the dashboard. Okay. Now from here, you need to click on this setting. All right. Now keep in mind, they keep on changing this UI. I've seen this UI change a lot. Okay. So I've been doing OpenAI development for a while now, and I've seen this dashboard evolve. All right. But right now the billing option is in setting. All right. But it might happen when you're watching this video, they might have moved the option or changed the interface. So don't stress about it. Just figure out where you can see the credits and the settings option. Now, if you click on settings, okay, you'll see this billing over here overview. Okay, this is a setting option. You need to head over to billing option over here. Okay, now under billing, you'll see my credit balance is 0. Of course, it's 0. Now I need to, so you can see when your credit balance reaches 0, your API will stop working. So I need to add some credits, and then ideally my API should work. So I'll just add credits. You can see billing, like payment methods, billing history, preferences. Okay. So You can add a few payment methods as well. All right. So I'll do this process. I'll add some credits into my account. So I have done the payment and I've added $5 over here as my credit balance. All right. Now we'll go back to Postman. All right. So I'll switch over to Postman over here. Okay. And let us see, let us trigger our API again. So here I'll resend the request. I'll press the send button. Okay, I'm getting the internal server error again. Okay, what is the issue now? Okay, so let me restart and try again. All right. So application is started. Let me resend. Oh, so it worked. The application restart actually fixed the issue. Okay, so after I updated my credit balance, I added balance to my OpenAI account. I restarted the application and it worked over here. You can see. So hello, how are you finding Spring AI? This is completely transcribed by AI. All right. And you can see how it's working fine. All right. So you can have audio to text transcribers this way with the help of OpenAI models. All right. And you can do wonders with this. So this I'm just displaying to the users. Okay. You can additionally process it. Okay. To your depending on your needs, whatever your use case is, right? And then you can give the experience to your users. Okay, that will be AI based. All right, so our application is working fine. Okay, did we get anything on console? Nothing. Okay, so it was processed successfully. All right, so I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this is useful. So now it's time that we move to the front end part. And for the front end, we are going to make use of React.js. And here I am on the terminal, okay, on my Windows machine. So you can open PowerShell, or if you are on a Mac, you can open the inbuilt OS terminal, okay. Now I'll be creating project here from the terminal, and then we'll switch over to Visual Studio Code. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to navigate to my working directory. So I'm going to say cd and I'm going to paste this long path over here where I wish to like navigate. Okay. Now over here, if I do ls, okay, I have two folders already. Now this is my backend over here. Okay. And this is the zip file that I downloaded from start.spring.io. Okay. So here itself, I'll be creating the front-end React project. Now, like I said, I'm going to be making use of Vite for this. Okay, so over here, this is the website. So you can search for Vite React. Vite means this is a spelling VITE. Okay, and as you can see, it is used to create a React project quickly. Okay, French word for quick. Okay. So just come over, like just Google, and you should land on this website. Okay, so it's a front-end tooling thing using which you can create projects. Okay, so I'll head over to guide. Okay, you can see this guide tab. Okay, and over here, if you scroll down, you can see all these projects, like these all templates are supported over here. Okay, so we'll make use of React. You can make use of React with TypeScript as well over here. There are quite a few options, vanilla, JavaScript as well. Okay, so I'll scroll down, and here you can see like you have this command over here, npm create Vite @latest. Okay, now you should be able to run npm commands onto your system. Okay, so just make sure you have Node.js installed. All right, because we'll be making use of npm over here. So I'll just copy this. Okay, copy this command. Okay, you can even directly copy this. Okay, so this is for Vue.js, but I would be just following this. Okay, so just copy this command, npm create Vite @latest. If you don't want to copy this or come to this website, that's completely fine. You can take a look at this video and type this command. That's completely fine. Okay, now over here, I'll just paste this. Okay, I'll say enter. Now, the moment I say enter, it will say you need to install the following packages. All right. So I don't have probably this package. So I'll say yes over here. It's okay to proceed. Now it's asking me for the project name. So I'll say audio transcribe, and I'll say front end over here. Okay. So this is the project name. I'll say enter. It will present you with a few options like what is the template that you wish to select. So Vanilla JS, Vue JS, React. Okay, so I'll say React since we are working on it. And what do you want over here? TypeScript. Okay, so I'll just say Vanilla JavaScript over here. Okay, and you can see the project is created pretty quickly. The project name is this, the framework is this, and the variant is over here. Okay. Oops. So I'll just expand this a bit. Okay. All right. So this is done. Okay. So I just prefer having this command line at the top a little bit because here normally captions are displayed and people are normally not able to see commands that I'm writing at the bottom. Okay. So I've just resized my window, but you can keep full screen on your machine. So now it's giving you a few commands over here, which you can do initially. So I can say cd over here. I can just navigate to this directory. Okay. Then it's saying npm install. So we'll install the dependencies, which is absolutely okay. We'll also copy this command npm run dev. This is actually a command to run the server. Okay. So once the dependencies are installed, you can see the dependencies are installed. You get the success and just start the server. So I'll press enter and you'll have the server up and running on this URL over here. Okay. So I'll just copy this URL. All right. I'll come over to the browser and I should be able to access it. You can see Vue plus React. This is the home page and you have an option to like quickly increase the count. There's a count over here and some instructions. You can head over to src-app.jsx and you can like edit this particular page over here. Okay, so project creation is done. All right, what I would request you all now is we need Visual Studio Code. So you can search for Visual Studio Code over here. Okay, and you should see this link. If you don't have it already, I would recommend you download this from here. Installation steps are pretty straightforward, like just like you install any other software onto your system. So I'm seeing an option to download for Windows, but if you're on Mac or any other platform, you should see the option over there. Alternatively, you can like click on other platforms and download it this way as well. All right. Once you're done downloading Visual Studio Code, what you need to do is you need to open Visual Studio Code onto your system. So I already had Visual Studio Code open over here. All right. So you'll see this kind of a screen. Okay. Like a typical ID. And I have dark mode enabled. All right. You might see light mode, which you can change in the settings. Right. And what you need to do is you need to come over here. Okay. Also, I would want to mention, like if you have freshly installed, you might also see a welcome screen over here, which I'm not seeing, of course. So you can come over here, file, and you can say open folder. Now, when you say open folder, you will see a pop-up appear, it will be a explorer, which will help you navigate, okay, through the file system. And you should head over to the folder where you just created the project. So you created a project over here. So this is my location, right? So you need to open this folder in Visual Studio Code and I'll do that. So you can see I've navigated to this folder where we created our project. So this is our project audio transcribe frontend. I'll select this and I'll say select the folder. You'll see the project open up. Okay. So I will just go full screen now. Or before going full screen, what you can actually do is here I'm running npm run dev. I'll just copy this command. Okay. I don't need to use an external terminal. Okay. So I'll just terminate this using Control C on Windows or Command C on Mac. All right. So I don't need an external terminal. I'll close this and I'll expand this. And over here, you have a terminal inbuilt where you can run commands. And this will by default open, by the way, in the root of the project. You can see this is the root of my project. Okay. Now I'll run this command npm run dev and I'll have my server up and running. All right. So yeah, this is the setup that you need to do. Okay. And I hope you have been able to follow until here so far. If you're enjoying this course so far, then you should also check out our complete full stack development mastery roadmap, the details of which are given in the description below. It comprises of multiple courses that you would have access to. Also, you'll find these details on the website as well. All right. The website is EmbarkX.com. And I would highly encourage you all to check this out to become a pro developer. So now it's time that we begin building our front end. So I'll head over to SRC. Now, first of all, this thing that you're seeing over here in the browser, it's coming in from app.jsx under SRC. You can see. Now, if you go to app.jsx, this is the code that is being rendered onto the browser. And you can see the code for like the counter over here as well. You can see count is count. Now I can, if I add full stops and if I save this, you'll see it appears over here. So this is a file, all right, and this is where it's coming in from. Now what I would do is I just don't need this boilerplate code, all right. So what I would do is I would simply get rid of this, okay. All right, now this is done. Okay, we don't have anything over here right now, right? Now what I need to do is I will create my own component which will help me upload the audio onto my application, and it will trigger an API call with the file that I have uploaded to the backend, and backend will communicate with OpenAI. It will get the transcription and it will return it to the front end, and then front end would display the transcription to the user. That is how the entire flow is going to work. All right. So I would quickly create a file over here. I'll call this as audio uploader.jsx over here. All right, this is done. Now over here, we need to have the component definition, right? So I'm going to say const audio uploader. All right, and I'm going to make use of arrow functions over here, okay, to create the component. Okay. Now within this component, we are going to have a little bit of JSX, and we will also return. We'll also have the JavaScript, right? That will work and it will perform some actions, right? So first we'll do the JSX part. So I'm going to say return. I'm going to return JSX over here, okay, and I'll add a semicolon. Okay. Now within return, I'm going to have let's say div over here, okay, something like this. Okay, and I can say h1, okay, and I'll say audio to text transcriber here, something like this. Okay, and I'll have to export this. Okay, so I'll say export default, and I'll say audio uploader over here. Okay, and I'll add the audio uploader into this particular component. Okay, audio uploader over here. All right, this is done. Now the moment you come over here, you'll see audio to text transcriber is appearing, right? Which means that now whatever I add into this particular file will be rendered onto the UI. So I'll begin working over here. Okay, I'll set the class names as well. Okay, so I'll set the class name over here to container, like so. Okay, I have the h1 tag. Okay, now I need to add a div over here. Okay, this div is going to help me accept the file. Okay, so I'm going to say input type, and this will be file over here, accept, and I'll say audio. Okay, and then I'll simply close this. Okay, now if you come over here, you can see choose file, no file chosen. So this is the file chooser that we have added over here. Okay, input type file. I'll add class name. Oops, so it has to be class name over here, and I'll call this as file input, something like this. Okay, so this div is done. Later on, what we can do is we can make use of these classes or the class names in CSS to enhance the look of our application. Okay, I'm going to say button over here. Okay, and I'll add a class name over here. Okay, something like this, and I'll say upload button, something like this. Okay, and I'll close this. I'll say upload and transcribe. All right. If you come over here, you can see this button, upload and transcribe. Oh, of course, ignore the UI. Don't worry about it right now, okay? Because we'll be dealing with the UI stuff shortly, okay? But yeah, this is what our application is looking like right now. Now over here, what we need to do is we need to display the transcription result. All right. So I'll say a class name over here, transcription result, something like this. And over here, I can say h2 transcription result. Okay. And I'll be displaying the result over here within the p tag. Okay, so we'll be doing that with the help of states, but we don't have any states created yet. All right, so I'm leaving that empty for now. All right, now coming over here at the top, let's talk about the states. So we have UI done. Okay, UI of course is done, but there's no CSS right now. We'll be dealing with CSS part as well. Don't worry about that right now. Let's focus on the functionality. Now let's talk about the states that we will need. First state we'll need is I'll need a file. Okay. Because I'm accepting the file from the user, so I need to add it to the state. So I'll create that first. Okay, I'll say file, and this will be set file over here. Okay, and I need to say use state. Okay, and file will be initially null. Okay, I need const, and it has to be transcription, and it will be set transcription like so. Okay. And here I'll say use state, and I'll initialize it to an empty string. So we need two states, file and transcription. What is this transcription? This transcription is the output or the result that we get. Okay, so I'll just copy this. I'll come over here and I'll be displaying that thing over here. Okay, so right now it's not displaying anything, of course, because it's initialized to empty string. It does not have anything right now. Okay. But once we hit the API, what we can do is we will be displaying the result here, okay, after updating the state. Now, what I need to do is I need to create a function over here. Now, the function that we are going to create is going to help us update this file state, okay, so that we have whatever user is selecting, we have it in this state over here. Okay, so I'm going to say const over here. I'll say handle file change. Okay, so what we are going to say is whenever user updates or selects a file, okay, update the state. That is what we are going to do. And this function needs to be triggered whenever user changes the file or updates the file. So what I would do is I would scroll down over here. Okay, so we have this file button, right? Input type file. So I'll add on handle. Sorry, it's not handle. It will be on change over here. That is what the name of the property. And then I need to say handle file change. Okay. Now this is done. So here, what I would do is I would say set file over here. Okay. So that's the method that we are calling over here. Okay. To update the state. And over here, I'm going to say, I'll say e.target.files, and I'll say 0. So this code is going to give me the file that user has selected, right? Now, once the user has selected the file, what we need to do is we need to upload the file, okay? And we need to trigger the API, right? So basically, uploading means we are triggering the backend API, right? So what we need to do is I will make use of Axios over here, right? So I'm going to say import Axios from Axios over here. Okay. I don't think this is added right now. Okay. So you can either head over to package.json. I'm not sure if this dependency is added. It's not added. You can see clearly over here. So what I would recommend is you head over to your terminal and you can say npm install Axios if this is not installed. I'm sorry. So here, if you scroll down now, okay, or here if you see, you can see Axios over here. Okay, so it has added these packages to my project, right? So this is done. Just make sure you have Axios in your project, okay, before you start using it. Okay, now this is done. So what I would do is I would come over here, I would create one more function here. Okay, so I'll say, okay, const, sorry, not const. So this is a function. Yeah, so I'll go by const keyword. I'll say audio, not audio uploader, it will be handle upload. Okay, and it will be an async function. Okay, and then I'll have this. Okay, now within this particular function, what I need to do is I need to do an API call. Okay, so I'll first create an object of form data over here. Okay, new form data, like so. Okay, then I'll say form data dot append. Okay, and I'll say file, comma, file that we have. Okay, so this is being appended, and then okay, I accidentally came outside the function. So within this function, we need to make use of try catch for error handling. Okay, something like this, and here I'll say constant. Okay, response. So we are doing an API call, so I'll make use of await keyword, and I'll say access dot post over here. Okay, and we need to make use of the backend endpoint along with the form data. So I'll say form data over here. Okay, and I'll say comma over here, and we need to add the headers over here. Okay, so I'll say here I can say headers, something like this. Okay, and I'll add content type, something like this, and I'll say multipart, because we are sending in the file over here, right? So we need to say this. I'll add a comma over here. Okay, and I'll come over here. If there is an error, any sort of error, so I can say console.error over here, and I can say error transcribing audio over here. Okay, and then I can say error. All right, and yeah, I think this is it. We need to now work with the response over here. Okay, so once we have the response, I can say set transcription dot, sorry, not dot, it will be response dot data. Okay, now what is set transcription? In case you're wondering, okay, we do have a state transcription which is capturing the result of the transcription, right, after transcription. So I'm updating that state with whatever response I get. All right, so this is the handle upload. Now what is happening over here is we are first creating and a form data over here, right, a new object of form data type. Okay, and this is used to construct a set of key value pairs that is representing the form fields and their values, right? Now this approach is ideal for sending files via HTTP request. And on the next line, like after creating form data, I'm actually appending the file over here, okay, because I want the file to be sent via HTTP request, and then I'm doing in post request. Now over here we missed adding the API endpoint. So I'll say localhost :8080 /API/transcribe. This is our endpoint, right? So this is a post request. Okay, and we are sending the form data along with the headers, and in headers we are specifying the content type over here. You can see content type is multipart form data. Okay, and we need to, once we get the response, so this is a asynchronous like call over here, and we are making use of await over here. Once we get the response, we are getting response.data and updating the transcription. Okay, that is how this entire thing is working over here. Okay, now this function, this async function, needs to be triggered. Okay, when should it be triggered? It should be triggered when you click on the upload button, right? So I'll say on click over here, I'm going to say handle upload, something like this, right? And I'll save this. Okay, now if you come over here, Okay, we have this project ready. We should test it, right? So what I would do is I would actually come over here. We have our MP3 file, right? So what I would do is I would click over here and I would just select the MP3 file that we had created. Or if you have any other MP3 file, you can select that, but it should have some person speaking a little bit. Now I do have selected the MP3 file by clicking on the choose file. You need to navigate to your file wherever it's saved, the MP3 file, and add it over here. Okay. Now this is done. So I'll say upload and transcribe. I'll say upload and transcribe. Okay. We'll wait for a while. We'll see if any sort of thing happens. Anything we can see on the console. Okay. We get an issue, which is expected. All right. So this issue is around course policy, right? So what we need to do is we need to fix the course policy as well in the backend. Now for this, I'll head over to my backend, which is IntelliJ over here. Okay. And here we need to add a configuration file, which will be the configuration for the course policy. Okay. So I'm going to call this as webconfig over here. Okay. Because it's configuration file. The first thing I'll do is I'll add configuration annotation over here. Okay. I'll say implements web MVC configure over here. Okay. Now I'll override the add course mappings over here. Okay. So you can either go to generate. Okay. You can say override method. You have add course mapping over here. Okay. So I'll select that. Okay. It's been added course registry, and you can see this code being added. Okay. But what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this code over here. Okay. And I'll say registry dot add mapping over here. Now I'm adding this for which endpoint? So I'm adding this configuration for all the endpoints. Okay. I'll say allowed origins. Okay. So I'm allowing the origins, which origins I wish to allow. So I have my front end running on this particular URL. So I'll copy this. Okay. And I'll paste it over here. Okay. This is the endpoint. All right. Now I'll say dot allowed methods over here, and I'll say get over here. Okay. I'll say post. I'll say put. Okay. Which all methods you want to allow, you can add that. Okay. And I'll say options as well. Something like this. Okay. So this is the configuration, and then I can say allowed headers. What sort of headers you want to allow? I'll say all headers. All right. So just allow all, and then I'll say allowed credentials, true. And I think we are done. All right. So with this, the front end should be able to send the request to the backend. So just restart the server, and yeah, we are ready to test the application. So after adding the configuration, we are now set to test the application. So I'll just refresh this because early on we got an error. All right. And what I'll do is I'll again choose the MP3 file over here. So MP3 is chosen. I can say upload and transcribe. We'll wait for a while, and you can see, hello, how are you finding Spring AI? So that is what is the audio in this test.mp3. Okay, so yeah, the application is working absolutely fine. And if you head over to inspect over here into the network tab, okay, so if you say upload and transcribe again, okay, you will see like there will be a request. Okay, so I'm not seeing any sort of request. Okay, here, so you can see this transcribe endpoint is being called over here. Okay, this is the backend endpoint, and here what we are doing is, if you see the payload, this is a file that is being sent to the server. Okay, we're getting this as a response. Okay, you can see this is a response. All right, so you can just take a look at the endpoint over here. All right, now be sure to remember, like if you're uploading a file, upload a file with very less text or very less of audio, a small file. Because if you have a very long file that you're uploading, like songs and all, okay, remember this is hitting OpenAI, right? You have your keys configured, so you might be charged for that, right? So if the files are large and OpenAI is doing a lot of work, a lot of processing for you, okay, it is you consuming the model, it is using the models in the hindsight, and it is going to bill that in your account. So for small files, it is good and it won't cost much. Okay, but keep this in mind. All right, for larger files. All right. So I hope this is useful, and I hope you are able to understand and follow everything. So now it's time that we spend some time beautifying the application and making it look a bit decent, right? So application is working fine, okay, but it would be good if we could, add some CSS over here. So I'll come over here and we will create, we already have a file called app.css, all right? What we can do is I'll start adding the CSS over here, okay? So I'll start adding the CSS for container. Okay, over here I'll say max width is equal to 600 pixels over here. Okay, all right, you can see okay, 600 pixels. I'll say margin over here is 50 pixels and auto over here. Okay, all right, and we'll add some CSS and then we'll see how it's reflecting over here to the UI. I'll say 20 pixels padding, okay, around the container. I can say border over here is 1 pixels solid, and the color code is hashtag DD. Okay, it's white sort of a UI. I'll say border radius over here is 10 pixel. Let me save this and let us see. Okay, so border is being added. Okay, and then I can say box or not box shadow. I'll say background color over here. Background color is again hash td. Let us see. Okay, so I'll change this to something like this, and I'll say text align is center. Font family is sans serif. Okay, so everything is white right now because we need to change the font of everything to font color of everything to like black or so. Okay, so I'll say font size is 24 over here. I'll keep this to 24. You can switch to your choice. Okay, margin bottom, I can say 20 pixels over here, and I can say color over here. I'll add the color to that of black. Okay, let us save, and you can see audio to text transcriber. All right, now what we need to do is I'll come down. Okay, and I'll say file input. Okay, and I'll say margin of 20 pixels. Okay, so yeah, this is our file input over here. Okay, and then here again I'll say file input, and I'll say input over here. Okay, padding of 10 pixels, border of 1 pixels solid, and I'll say color as this. I'll say border radius of 5 pixels. Cursor could be pointer. Okay, so you can see. Okay, so you can click on this entire thing over here. Okay, so it's looking decent for now. Okay, we'll move forward. All right, I'll add some CSS for the upload button. Okay, so this is the class, right? So let me check the class as well. So audio uploader. Okay, upload button is the class. All right, so I'll come over here, upload button. I'll say background color. Okay, and background color can be blue sort of. Okay, and I'll say color white. I'll say padding 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Okay, border is none here. Okay, and I can say border radius as 5 pixels. Okay, and I'll say cursor pointer. I'll keep cursor to pointer. Okay, and font size to that of 16. over here, and a margin top to 10 pixels. This is done. You can see it's looking decent. Okay, we can add an hover effect also. So I'll just copy this hover. Okay, so colon hover. All right, and I'll say background color to dark blue. Oops, dark blue, something like this. And if you come here, you can see. All right, so this is done. All right, and I'll come over here. Here we need to manage the transcription part. So I'll get this class over here, transcription result. Okay, and over here I can say for transcription result, I can say margin top 30 pixels. I'll say text align to center, and I'll add the color. Color we can, oops, not column. Color can be black, something like this. And then I can have transcription result and H2. Okay, font size of 20 pixels. Okay, and margin bottom 10 pixels, and color to that of, let's say, light blue. I can say light blue, and I can say transcription result. I'll add there is a p tag also where we are displaying the results. So I can say background color to that of I have a color code. Okay, so I'll say F8, F9, FA. All right. Then over here I can say padding to that of 15 pixels. Okay. Border radius, I'll add border radius of 5 pixels over here. Okay, and border I'll add of 1 pixels solid. Okay, and yeah, this is how it will be. If you come over here, you can see, okay, hello, how are you finding Spring AI? So this is the output. Okay, now transcription result over here, light blue is not looking good. Okay, so I can keep this as dark blue. Okay, this is looking decent over here. So this is not yet centered, as we can see. So I would like to move this to center. Okay, so what I would do is over here, okay, app.jsx. We have a main.jsx. Now within main.jsx, we have this root element. Okay, what I would do is I would come over here. I would add a CSS. So this is the CSS for root. Okay, element with ID root. All right, and I'm adding this CSS. I'll save this and we'll have everything in the center. You can see. Okay, so it's working absolutely fine, and you can see what sort of output we are getting over here. Okay. So yeah, I hope you have been able to follow along, and I hope this has been super useful. Now you can customize this page as per your requirements. Okay, and I've shown you the way as to how you can make use of AI into this project, but you can figure out a use case to your real projects, and you can use a similar thing and make your users' life easier. So I hope this was useful.